Hey guys, how's it going? Nick Campbell here, and with me as always is my good buddy,
David Steele.
and we are Rhythm and Wit. All right, yeah, what's up, bud? We don't have
How's
many.
it going?
Yeah, well, we're doing good. We're doing good. We don't have a guest per se today, but we are going to just talk a little bit, right? Hang
this
out.
is our old school. We used to do this all the time. We'd just come in and just have a two-person podcast.
Yes, sir.
And just talk about whatever things we wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So
here
first
we
off,
are.
how's your week going? How's everything going?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Transitioning for the new job.
New job's going well. It's been definitely I'm getting more used to expending the energy there. It's like the first couple weeks or even 3 weeks of there, it's like I was just exhausted every week.
Yeah.
And now it's like I think my body's starting to get acclimated to that energy output, so I'm feeling a lot better overall and having some more energy. So hopefully I get back to doing some more of this stuff, my extracurricular activities, I like to say.
Yeah. Nice.
Because that's what I've been missing is like getting out and going to events and things. It's like I haven't been able to do that really at all. But
we've been missing you too over at Put a Cork in It, man. They ask about you, Michael and Jess, and I tell them man, he's up there making that FedEx money now, boy, so you better watch out. Next time you see him, he might be in a truck.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool, man.
Yeah.
I like it. It seems like you seem like you're doing better too. You feel better. You look better.
Like definitely my mental state is overall, like I haven't had any I was having a lot of kind of mood swings, I would say, as far as my with that morning shift. That was rough. So now I'm definitely stabilized. My sleep schedule is pretty much exactly the same every day now. So it's like even on the weekends, like I can't really I struggle to stay up past midnight, but you don't really need to do that anyway. So go to bed about midnight, wake up about 8, maybe earlier or later, depending.
Yeah, dude. That's actually, you get your full 8?
Yeah.
You still get a full 8? That's pretty solid.
Yeah, so that's going pretty well. How about you? You've been putting out some shows.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Dealing with the kids and all that too.
But it's going good.
Yeah.
Work's going good. Campbell and Son Electric sponsors this. Campbell and Son Electric's been doing pretty good. We've been ever since I've been diving into this Google Ads stuff for
the comedy.
For the comedy, I've always done it slightly for Campbell and Son. I started looking into it and I noticed that the only way you can really get up on Google Ads is to spend a pretty good amount of money.
Yeah. It's like a certain amount that it takes to actually register. Yeah.
And so most of what you see, like every company has like allocation for marketing and promotion and all that. And what I would normally do is I would focus on putting that into yard signs and magnet.
Yeah, just
business
whatever
cards,
promotional things you can do.
The little stuff, and really just kind of do the word of mouth guerrilla kind of stuff. But so basically what it comes down to is if I spend $350 a month on Google Ads, they'll finally put me up with all the other people. Because what you have to do now on Google, I've looked up electricians near me.
Yeah.
And we're at the top of the list. I made 205 star reviews. Made it this past week.
Yeah. You made it to 200.
Yeah. And it's hard because it's hard fought. I've earned every one of those personally.
We got 2 5-star reviews on Spotify now. One of them was me.
Whoa! I think the other one's me. It's so funny. But no, it's really cool. But looking at all this stuff and kind of like planning, because I'm trying to get to where I'm good at this Google Ads so I can use it for the comedy. But I have more experience with the contractor side, right? So I have more analytics to look at.
We also have more money to spend on it for your actual business.
So I'm kind of playing with that to see how I can get myself up on the list and because I'm battling people like Mr. Sparky, Barnett Electric, which are these really good, very well established companies that get 1.7 thousand 5-star reviews, not 5-star,
but still, I mean, you get a
4.5.
You get
overall.
Thousands of people to review you. I mean, that's only a fraction of the people that actually use the service. I mean, so that's a huge.
No, I can promise you, Mr. Sparky jumped last year about 1,000 reviews. So it makes you wonder a little bit, where it's like, where did that come from?
But it could be, one of those things where it's like you push it. You know, you always tell people to review your stuff, and that's
Yeah.
that's how you got to 200. You know,
I'll do it even if you want. Like, I'll be at a bar. And I'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, it was nice talking
But
to you.
it's
Give
like-
me a review.
but there's like lots of businesses I'm sure that just don't even think about that at all, so they
Yeah.
don't build it, you know, until maybe they could have just had a huge push of trying to get people to do it. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Well, I know personally that it's very difficult to get reviews. You got to create an entire experience.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah. I mean, to get them naturally, for sure. It's like I think you have to really go above and beyond to get someone to like want to take their, you know, as little time as it could take. I mean, it's still people don't generally like to spend, you know, that much effort on things.
Well, reviews
unfortunately.
is the new word of mouth.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's why I try to
'Cause
push
that's
reviews that put a cork in it at the end of the show. I'll be like, hey guys, please try to give us a review on Facebook or Google at Put a Cork in It Winery and mention the comedy. So that way it kind of becomes a thing in that area. It's I think we've had a couple come through, but you know, but those little things like that and word of mouth for a contractor is huge. And so Google Ads isn't really where I make my money as far as like getting leads in. I need like 7 leads a week. Anyways, this is outside of it, really, but this is kind of what I've been messing with this week though.
Yeah.
And then trying to translate that to the comedy stuff to get more people out. That's been kind of tough.
Yeah.
Ever since everybody's been going back to school.
I mean, that's a good kind of transition into a topic that we were talking about even before we started recording was, I mean, we just had a show last night at Resonator in Norman.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really great.
Who are you with?
So we played, it was me and Josh Bartrug and the new group that is still yet unnamed.
What are you guys going by? Josh Bartrug Band?
Yeah, just, I mean, it's nothing, you know, it is what it is for now. It's just people are really digging the music, though. I think we had some good feedback from Jokes and Jams for sure. A lot of people who came up to me and was saying how much they enjoyed the show and the stuff we were doing. So that was I mean, similar to last night. I think everyone really liked it. I mean, everyone did well last night. We had Chris Allen Cox. He's the guy that put on the show, and it was a really good. It's a benefit show for the Palestinian war there, and kind of raise some money to send over there for people that need it. I think, namely, like the kids there that you know are struggling. So that was a really, really great cause that he's very passionate about, and I think that we all should be, you know, for things like that when there's like literally like genocide going on.
Yeah,
and shit.
people killing people.
So, so that was really nice to be a part of for sure. And unfortunately, the turnout was, you know, it is what it is. I think it was a strange night in Norman. There was no football going on, so it was kind of like quiet, but there was still like a weird air. It's like people just like kind of looking for stuff to do. I wish, because we had a few people came in for sure. And there was a good crowd because it was just mostly just the bands hanging out, you know, watching, which I always think is great. It's like I almost expect there to be low turnouts at most of these kind of shows, especially it's just Resonator is great. I love it. And I've played there a bunch actually over the years, and they do a lot of cool things for the community. But it's like it's just tough to get people to even know what it is. It's not a bar, you know. It's just a space, an art gallery space. So it's like they don't sell alcohol. So it's kind of I think it's hard to get people to get, you know, be interested in going there unless they're specifically there for the music or whatever group they're there for.
Now, how do you guys normally push the information out, though?
I mean, social media. I honestly didn't do as much as I should have, but we can get back to that in a second. I'll just finish. So we had Chris Allen Cox, and then we played with me, Josh, and our new guitar player Corbin, who's really fantastic guitar player, a lead guitar player. And then we had a band called Emma Goldman Sachs, which I was really cool to meet because I've heard about them. They've been kind of doing stuff since I think 2017, kind of, and it's mostly a two-piece, like a drummer. It's like the main guy's guitar player and singer, so it's really his project. I think that he started kind of a solo thing because they were both in other groups, I think, and but this group has always kind of been the two guys, the drummer and a guitar player, but they added a bass player recently, so it's kind of a full experience now. Which they're fantastic, very loud, very like I can't even really pinpoint the style. It's kind of interesting. But they're great, and it was cool to see them and meet them. They were super nice, and I'm sure we'll see more of them, or I'll get to work with them again in the future, in some capacity, either on a podcast or another show. So I think it'd be fascinating to talk to them on a podcast or interview. Anyways, the last band, Dion Warlock, closed it out, and
Nice.
they're awesome. I haven't seen them really. Probably been a couple of years almost since I've seen them. So I remember seeing them at Northern Music Festival, not this past year, but the year before. So I think that was the last time I saw them play.
What kind of music are they?
They're a very interesting. I love them. I think that they're like. I was so happy to get to see them again because there's something about their music that's so like. I think of all music, right? It's just it's all vibration, right? So it's all feeling and emotion, right? It's like, but I think it's the emotions come after the feelings. Like you get the vibrations hit you, and then it makes you feel something inside, right?
Mm.
But it's like they have it down. I don't know what it is, but it's like, but I do think they do a lot of like harmonies. I mean, they have the two singers, Electra, she plays bass and sings, and then they got Jeremy Tiger Hall, who's a guitar player and singer, and a keyboard player and a drummer. So, but I think that what they do with their vocal harmonies, and they got the bass. I think Electra's bass is very kind of melodic, or very kind of they do kind of I don't know what it is, but it's kind of interesting style of bass. It's not typical. I think a lot of like chords, even in a way.
Nice.
So it's very like. So I think it's just a blending of all the harmonies and all the different things is with the keyboards, and they do like different type stuff with that.
How do you get that gig?
Chris Allen Cox
Okay.
asked us
Just
because
kinda
he actually
reached out.
asked Josh, like as soon as he got back from Japan, he was putting this on, and he's looking for acts for it. And so he had booked Josh before he even had any kind of band. I mean, similar with Jokes and Jams,
Yeah.
even. So it was like, so that's what's interesting too. Is like it's like at these days, I don't even have to think about trying to book shows. It's like they just happen. I don't know,
Yeah,
which is good.
it's about
It's a
time.
great place to be.
Yeah.
So you just don't even have to actually try to put it on your own stuff because we know enough people. But yeah, it was a great show.
It's
Dion
almost like
Warlock.
the world is putting you guys together.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, man, you need to come
Yeah,
on.
and this is like we're all friends. Like I said, Electra's been a great friend to have in the scene, and always very supportive, and helped us put us out on their show a couple years ago in Vices in Reno, and that was cool to go out there. And so that was the first time I'd seen them. But yeah, anyways, I loved it. Yeah, it was really good. I'm probably gonna do. So I filmed the whole show. I'm probably gonna put out a little look at a video. It could be like, I don't know, because I got a lot of stuff. It could be like a good hour-long video. I don't know exactly what it'll be, but I'm gonna do kind of a showcase of each of the groups at least, and put it out on this channel. So watch out
Nice.
for that.
Keep a lookout.
Yeah. So, and especially for the Free Palestine stuff, I think that's going to be really good, just to get more awareness of it. And even though the turnout wasn't great, hopefully a lot of people will get to experience it on our channel in a way. And
Yeah,
maybe
That's very true.
it could, give it a little bit more life. I think that's kind of something that I love about being able to do video and stuff, is kind of showcase something and extend this kind of thing that happened and extend it to the future. I mean, because people could watch stuff forever,
Yeah.
potentially. So yeah, it was a really good show. But yeah, I was kind of just thinking a lot about it afterwards, and it's just like, what are we doing wrong? Why are we busting our asses? Trying to put these shows together, and it's like, how do we reach the masses of the state?
That's a good question.
Similar with comedy,
Very
but
much.
definitely we've always struggled with it for music.
Yeah.
In my experience, it's definitely been, you've had way more success in comedy shows in general. I mean, we've been to some locally produced shows that had 50 people at them or more. I mean, even
Yeah.
like the
Comedy
first
shows.
Rough Tail show that you produced
That
was
wild.
like,
yeah.
it's like I would die if we could get 50 people out to
To
a
a-
music show like
Yeah.
that. I don't think it's possible, frankly,
Yeah.
unless it's a music festival or something.
Yeah.
I just don't. That's what I think. I don't know. And it's like clearly, I think, I'm probably hopefully wrong, but I don't know. What do we do?
I know it's the same problem I'm running into now. Like I
Mhm.
said, I think with the transition of the school days, I think kids going back
Yeah.
to school,
There's always, but
people
it's
don't
like,
have a lot of time.
but that's the thing, right? Because there's always an excuse. You can
Yeah.
make an excuse for why because we always do it, right? It's like,
Mhm.
oh, well, this, anytime you play in Norman, right? It's like, oh, well, school's out. It's summer, so there's no kids here,
yeah.
to go.
Well, you still have to.
But there's still a
realize
lot-
What
how
you're
many-
contending
but
with.
there's so many people that live
Yeah.
in Norman all year long.
That's right. Well, and it's a school.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of kids.
Right.
You know.
But it's just like, but that's what I mean. It's like there's always an excuse to why you can think of a reason why, but that's still not the real reason,
I think it's partly. I mean,
Yeah.
like you're basically looking at this niche audience. Like, okay, well,
Yeah.
a lot of my people were parents.
Right?
You know, and a lot of people, and now they're. It's not just going to school, taking their kids to school.
Mhm.
Now it's after school activities,
Right.
and you don't have enough social battery to do a Friday, Saturday, and then
Yeah.
go out and see a show on Sunday.
Mhm.
So I think you go looking at the demographic that you can get. Right. So
Mhm.
who is that demographic? Who
Yeah.
are the people that want to come out?
Exactly.
Brainstorming.
Yeah.
Like, who is it?
Yeah, I think it's.
your
I mean, if you're looking at, because it is different audiences. If you're looking at comedy and music, I think for comedy for sure you have a way bigger audience because there's not really genres. I mean, there are genres of comedy, but that doesn't matter as much in music or as in music, right? Like you can have 3 different comedians with vastly different styles of comedy, and it's fine. It's not really a big deal. It's probably better not to do that, but
Yeah.
but if you do that with music, you can't put a metal band and then a hip hop band and then a country band. I mean,
Yeah.
you can, but I don't think people are into that. I don't know. But maybe they are. Maybe that's what we're doing.
Maybe that's
wrong.
it. Maybe
You
that's
know?
the problem. Well, we tried to do it with the
Yeah.
jokes and jams.
That's
We
what I
tried to bring
think.
both those worlds together.
Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
can. I think it's worth a shot. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
Well, look
to
at,
do a true variety show.
What's that band? Five
Five-Finger Death Punch?
No.
I don't know why that. Maroon 5?
If I could have never heard that again, I would be good. Maroon 5's fantastic, by the way. Old Maroon 5. I'm talking about Shiver. Okay. No, I'm talking to what's that? 580, 530, 35. It's that band. It's got the black country singer, soul band.
5:30.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, 530. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great. You could use that as
Yeah.
like a pivot point.
Right.
So you can
'Cause-
do a country act, do
Mhm.
them, and then do like a soul act.
Because that is the thing. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what I think with a lot of music. I mean, even with Josh
Mhm.
Bartrug, right? Like it's country-ish,
Bob
folky.
Dylan-esque.
Yeah, folky country, but also like garage rock.
Yeah. Well, sometimes
Which
surf.
is
Yeah.
surf and 60s. I mean, very 60s, like Beach Boys. He loves the
Mhm.
Beach Boys. He won't admit it. I mean, he would, but he doesn't bring
Pet
it up.
sounds? Does he like pet sounds?
I mean, he like his favorite like I said, I don't talk to him about it enough, but I know this for a fact. But he loves who's that guy from Beach Boys? The old man. He's still around.
Who you
the main guy.
The main guy? Come on, Nick.
Like, why is
he
it
was my
blanking?
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a genius,
he
absolute
is.
musical
Come
genius.
on, Nick. Brian Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Brian
mean,
Wilson.
like that is his guy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Well, I
so-
can't trust anybody who doesn't like pet sounds. Like
Yeah.
that has been the epitome
Mhm.
of production
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
And harmonies.
For sure. And they,
Um,
we could get into that, but
But what did
that's
Josh?
another-
So you guys, I mean, and it's even. I think as a performer, I think this might be the hardest part is getting the people in,
Mhm,
right? And outside of knocking on every door,
mhm.
right? And I
Right.
personally will text people.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing.
I think
too.
yeah. I mean,
so you can personally text people.
mhm.
What else can you do?
I think that
Tag people
Those
online.
things are good because I'm trying to think of like the bigger picture because those
Yeah.
things I think that are tried and true. I mean, but they take a lot of effort, and they're not guarantees.
No.
I mean, because it's like I remember doing that. That's what I do for the house parties. That's how I get people to come out and be interested in that. Because I think I'll send personal invites. Like I'll legit make a list of people that I would love that are my friends or people, especially when now that I know so many more people in the comedy scene. I remember at the Christmas party we did last year, like I like legit sent out personal messages to a bunch of comics that I barely even knew or maybe met once, and said, "Hey, I'm having this Halloween or Christmas party. If you're free, come by." And like so many of those people actually came, and it was just like kind of surprising in some ways. Like I said, so many of them I didn't know now I know better, after the past year, but barely had met them. But so it's like that stuff does work. And I think that what it does is it gives them a personal connection. And it's like, oh, this person actually, because if you post something or back in the day when we used to make Facebook event pages, and then you would go on and invite, all your friends and all this stuff. It's like you would think, oh, I want to invite this person and this person, and you send that invite, and they get it, and it's like they'll see it, but it's just like, oh, well, they're just one of 100 that got this invite, so it's like they don't really care as much. But if you personalize it and say, hey, I'd really love for you to come out to this, and then it touches them in a way and makes them more invested in it. So I think that stuff definitely works, but I still don't think that's the real answer. I mean, it's a part of it. It's a small part to build, but I think
you want to build an audience.
Yeah. I mean, you want to have people. I don't know. I think that the only real answer is to spend money. If you just have a huge budget and get ads, and on TV, or something. I don't know.
Something. Well, something about the Christmas party is that it's special.
Yeah,
it's once a year.
Right.
There's food, there's drink, people come out to hang.
It's a house.
It's a party.
That's the thing. It's like I've always thought about this, even with jokes and jams, because I remember originally we had talked about doing something like that, and I wanted to do it here in the house, and I wanted to do a house party, but have comedy, have music, and have the rhythm and wit variety show, And I think that would be, if we had did a house party, even with that exact same show, the exact same lineup, at the exact same day and time, if we did it in a house, we would have gotten at least 4 times the amount of audience that we had.
What do you think? Why do you think that is?
Because I think something about houses, I think it's like you were saying even after one of the parties we had, was like it's something about it makes you feel like a kid.
Yeah,
because you're like in a house.
Yeah, it's
like our parents are gone for the weekend.
Let's party.
But it's like whatever it is, it's just that weird feeling about being in a house, having no real like authority. I mean, like there's no like bartenders or bouncers or anyone watching you.
I was sitting on top of a couch watching my buddy play music, and I was just like, this is the dream.
Yeah.
This is what I would love to do.
So I think, ultimately too, it's like if I had a bigger house, that's what I'd be having house parties for every show.
If that would be safe.
No, well, it's just a slightly bigger. Like this house is great, but you can only. We've definitely maxed out the capacity of it, and like it's not that many, But
that's what I love about it too. It's like you got to kind of push to get in, you got to push to get out. You're rubbing elbows, you're talking to people. It's a little bit, it's more familiar, because I think at least everyone's been here once who comes to that party, So it's a really well known.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like people. I've had lots of people that will come to this house party that I do. And then they're like, oh, I've been here before, but it's like, it's like someone I don't know or just met, it's like, what? Okay, cool. But that, I think it is cool. I think so that's kind of one thing I think is the venue itself is a huge part of it.
Yeah. 100%.
Because like I said, even with the Resonator, I mean, as cool as that place is, I mean, it's just a big room, and like they have chairs and stuff, but it's not like a set up really like a traditional venue at all or whatever. It's like, I mean, I guess for music it is. I do think that would be a cool place to try to do a comedy show there. I mean, they would definitely let you do it if you asked.
What is
Put
it?
the resonator.
The resonator?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool.
I
I'd
mean,
love to give it a
I'm
shot.
sure you could
Yeah.
get some people out for that because, like I said, they do have a bunch of chairs, so you could line up some
Mhm.
rows.
I might check that out. Dude.
Yeah.
I really like that. So I did want to talk. So we talk about personal texting, posting on
Mhm.
social media. I think
Yeah.
the posting on social media
I
has
want to.
created a like too much. Like
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
I think you get buried now from
It's like
all
I
the
want to
ads.
stop. I want to boycott social
media?
media. Just who cares?
Yeah.
Like I think it's a waste of time. I do think think promoting on there. I mean, it's like it's not because you have to, 'cause that's the only real way, but I do think I think that if we stopped promoting on social media, I don't think anything would change.
You think so?
Like I think it would be the same.
I don't know. I think the groups help. I think it's about being
Yeah.
seen in many different places.
I
So
think. Well, let
you
me say
get on
this.
social media.
Yeah.
Somebody sends it through a text. You see it on a billboard. You hear it in a radio. Then you see it on a commercial. I think the more time somebody
think-
touches it.
I think my point with saying that is like we spend the amount of time you spend trying to promote on social media does not there's no return on the time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you have a minuscule amount of return on it because it's like okay, people see it, but that doesn't mean shit. You
Yeah.
know, that doesn't make them come to it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Or even for me, right? Like I see all kinds of stuff that I don't go to because I just don't have time or whatever. Or I just like, I think that, or the events that I do, there's tons of events that go on that I just don't know about. And I think that's a part of it, that even though they are on social media.
Yeah. So what inspires you to leave the house? To
I
get
think
to
it's
a place.
ultimately too. It is because it is the act. I think that it comes down to a personal connection in a lot of ways. Like if I know someone, like and even that doesn't guarantee it because there's definitely lots of like comedy shows that I see that's like I'll see a lineup and like there'd be like 4 or 5 comics on in there that I know them all personally. Like I would consider all of them friends. And like I love their comedy, and it's like fuck, I have to go to this, you know.
Mhm.
But it's like, oh, I can't because of work or something. But still, like that's what gets me to want to go to a show. Is like, I think having that kind of personal, emotional connection to the act.
I like that. Personal connection.
You know,
How do you build that personal connection?
I think that is because it's something I thought about. I've learned a long time ago about music marketing and stuff is to like. For a band, you want to try to make those connections with like every person that sees you. You know, you want to go up to them and talk to them, make them feel special. You know, that's why it's so important to like give shit away or like give away like anything or sell something or you know have. I don't know. It's just like there's lots of like little tactics you could do. Like I remember like people, or like especially if you're a little bit bigger band. And getting bigger shows is like pulling someone up on stage. You know, it's like that change. They'll remember that shit for the rest of their
Forever.
life.
Yeah.
And then like so every time they see your name pop up, like oh this person's playing here, this group, they're gonna remember that and be like oh I gotta go to that because
Yeah.
I had such a strong emotional experience the last time I saw them. So
But
that's
I
what
had that.
even thinking going back real quick to like Dionne Warlock. Like every time I see them, something happens to me. You know. Where it's like their music just touches me in a way that's just like
Mhm.
I have to go, you know, or I want to at least. Like I have a strong desire to that pulls me towards going to a show like for a band like that.
So that's the idea. Is if you want to get more people to the show, you got to touch them. But no, I
With consent.
there. Yeah, 100%, guys. Let's not forget consent. No, the something that I always think back on is I don't know if you remember the band Piebald, but it was like my
Yeah.
favorite band growing up. It was like,
Mhm.
and we went and saw them at the Green Door back
Mhm.
when the Green Door was a thing, and we went. And I got to meet them, like, cause you remember the Green Door. The stage was like this high;
Yeah.
you could like touch the
You're
people.
right.
And they came down, and it was. And the best part, it was like with the Weaker Thans. I had just heard them, and I don't know if you heard of the Weaker Thans, but it's another emo rock band. Super good. But we get off the stage. They get off the stage, and I go say hi, and I'm shaking. I never shook around anybody before. I still do, and I don't. Like, it was just because they were like, I was a big fan. So I go up, and he noticed, and he was like, "Hey, buddy, it's all right. You know, we're just dudes." And he's like, "Give me a hug." And then, but just that moment, I'll remember forever. That was that personal touch where it was like, I mean, and I've never had a fan like that who was like shaking in their boots.
Yeah, but it's like,
but I was like 13, 15.
But they're fairly bigger. I mean, as far as like they were touring and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they were probably on a label.
They were on a label. Yeah.
So it's like
Sub Pop. You remember?
yeah, that's like definitely. Because I remember, that kind of happened to us, or whenever we saw, what was it? Was it for Fabrizio Moretti's band, Little Joy?
Little Joy?
We saw them at
crazy.
the conservatory and got to talk to them and get to shake his hand and stuff. Because, I mean, we'd seen him. I'd seen him play at least 3 times, you know, and with the Strokes at, like, but that was, like, massive, you know, stages and mass Coca-Cola Event Center. But still, big stages, like, you weren't be able to meet them after the show. Not really. I mean, maybe, but probably not. So it's like getting to talk to him and we handed him our CD.
Oh yeah. I hope
I
prayed every day he listened to that CD. Just like even if you don't like it, just please listen to the first song. Yeah,
it was handwritten.
I love that, dude. That was such a good time.
But
well, and the best thing about conservatory is like if you saw somebody you liked, they couldn't get away from you. I mean, it was the bar was right there. I mean,
that's like
you could talk to them.
Hopefully that's what most acts, because I do like that about comedy, even for like big acts, right? Like come through Bricktown Comedy Club. It's like they have a meet and greet thing after every show, so fans can come and get pictures and stuff. It's like bands don't ever do that. I mean, not traditionally anyway. I don't think. It's like that's something that they should do. I think that that's hugely important, and probably why. I mean, I do think that comedy. It's like a little bit easier road in many ways, I think, in terms of... I think it's harder because there's more of them. There's way more comics to compete with.
Yeah, there is.
The bands are a lot harder to get together and build that up. But it also, I think that comedy is a lot more opportunities and the audiences are there more so than music. I will say that one thing about music is finding the genre. I'm always trying to figure out what's the genre that will work here. Obviously, if we wanted to start a country band, we could be playing every weekend downtown, Bricktown. Yeah. So that is, one of the genres that works, but it's like I don't want to do that. But that's the thing is like it's definitely not rock. That's that's not the thing
blues.
that people want. Yeah, blues work. That's the thing is like I didn't pop in, but Resonator is right next to Blue Bonnet, and there's a blues band playing in there, and I'm sure that there was a better crowd in there than there was at Resonator. But yeah, I mean, that's what they do though. I mean, that's the Blue Bonnets thing. So they expect that every weekend, and so people go there for that. So I don't know. I think that is a struggle too when you have this specialty type of like this is a thing that nobody's familiar with. Like these groups, it's like I mean people know.
But do you have music
Dionne
online?
Warlock. Not for. I mean we've got different things, but not for this group. We don't have anything online. So it's a little bit harder to get people to come out to see something that they don't know what it is.
Yeah. I think with comedy, you kind of expect to laugh.
Right.
At least.
You at least know the feeling you should
and
get.
it's kind of adventurous. It's like, let's go check this out. This is a little weird. But with music, you're like, well, what do they sound like? What are they? Maybe it's a little bit more like that. But I really want to go back to this personal connection thing, dude. I think there's something to that. I think something that I've recognized, and let's get down to the bolts of it. All right. I've been putting on shows for 2 years now. Before they put on shows, a lot of people didn't use social media. I mean, they did, but it wasn't like they didn't stay on it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't like to purchase ads, which makes sense because it looks like it doesn't do well. But
or it's always one of those things. I think when you see a sponsored ad, you're like, "This guy's trying too hard," But I don't think you are.
But maybe it's the only way to get it out to because that's how Facebook treats it. If you post something, you only gets to like 10 people, they're not going to push it. If you sponsor it, then it goes to most of your people and maybe some outside. And if you push it even further, then it'll start pushing to other people outside. But it's really just trying to hit the people that they know.
One thing about Facebook,
like you.
I think that people give Facebook and social media too much credit. Like they think, oh, I have 300 followers or whatever you have, whatever it is. Like, okay, I guarantee you 75% of those people don't look at social media as much as or as much as we do, or some people do. There's probably a 10 to 25%. I mean, I'm just making up numbers really, but I think it's probably close to that, or, that actually care and get on it. It's just like, yeah, they have an account, but they're not checking it, obsessively. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is like half or more. I don't know. But still, I think that, and even if they see it, an even smaller number is actually interacting with it or liking it and stuff.
Unless there's you incentivize them to share, which would be like, hey, let me give you this free thing and somebody can win if they share, right? So there's the incentivize. You can appeal to their better nature, or to so if you're like posting and you just put comedy on the spot, 7:30 or 6:30 and $10 to $15. Here's the lineup. What the hell are they going to connect with there?
Yeah.
And so what I try to do is put a little spin on it. Hey, this show, Leo Mendes is headlining.
It's like, this is a special thing
for Paw of the comedy. Just what I'm saying. Like, just give it some kind of spin to where it's like, okay, well, I've heard, and then you tag that to the person, and what I started doing is in my stories is I'll make a picture of what they've put. So I try to pick people who have stuff online too, and then and put the tickets by their reel, basically, of an example of who they are.
Yeah.
And then
show them, because it goes back to that thing where it's like,
show them what they're going to see.
If people don't know who that comedian is, then why would they care about them, or if they've never heard of their name? But it's like, oh, you could see a little snippet of. That's why I think it is nice to have for music that you have, if you have music online. That's what I mean. Years ago, whenever kind of we were still discovering this world of social media marketing, and it's like you would make the Facebook event pages, and it's like, I remember I started doing like, okay, then it's like you have the lineup, so then you add a link to Spotify or YouTube of that band, so somebody can click it and actually listen to what the band sounds like before they even, it's like, and that's kind of a standard thing for many, if you're using Facebook events or whatever. And also, like, I mean, obviously if you go to like, that's the thing, so like you tag people in posts, even on Instagram, and it's like, okay, well, people can click on that person and go to their account and presumably find a clip of their comedy or music on there, but it's just like a lot of work that people just don't. They have, you have like seconds to capture their imagination.
Well, I think in even less time now, because before, I think when we started, it was underutilized, and I think now it's oversaturated because, one, we have more I mean, as far as comedy goes, there's a lot more comedy out there because we've been pushing. I mean, we all have been. And I think we are all using the same thing. I think one of the things that I did that may have hurt me is told everybody what I was doing. But I don't think that's a bad thing, because what is it causing? It's causing us to think this over and create and be better in order to get people in, right? And we have more comedy that's going on out there. So I don't think it's oversaturated as there's a lot available.
Right.
So I think like I said, incentivizing, giving away free tickets. I think another thing would be buying their first drink and adding it to the cost of the show. So not the cost of the ticket, but the overall cost of the show.
Yeah.
Right? It's like overhead in a business. You just add up how much it's going to eat, and then the cost of the show would be, anyways, it doesn't matter. But
I think that's definitely a good, because that's like, even I remember it just dropped I forgot that you used to do this, but when you used to do Lively, you used to give away free candy all the time, and that's obviously an added cost.
But it's a personal touch.
But that's adding something that's like, you're adding something of value, even if it's just a sweet little, but it's still, you're adding an emotional connection there because you're getting that
Well, check this out.
dopamine and stuff.
You would
from
talk to the
chocolate.
customer. You would talk to the audience member. They would be like, "Oh, I love 100 grands."
Yeah.
And then the next time you would bring 100 grand, and if they weren't there, you would take a picture and be like, "Hey, hey, I bought these 100 grands for you."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, next time you come, I'll
Right.
have them too. But I
Yeah.
just want to let you know I
But
got
yeah,
these.
no, it's
Yeah, because you're thinking of them.
but that's this is a good idea. I think because I remember years ago too, way before you were doing Lively and stuff. But I remember seeing a group do this, and they were giving out candy at a show, and I was like, that's weird, but kind of cool. I don't know, whatever. It's like I just never really seen anyone do that, but it's like I think that is something a part of. Like adding some kind of small treat or value, especially if it's free, it comes with the thing. You know, it's like you're there, so here's something else that you can have.
Yeah. Well, that's like the dude. If you want to get into the nuts and bolts of like the money of it, so like say that we spend $100 on ads, just as a rough number, and then you spend $50 on candy, and then you spend $50 on just everybody gets a drink, right? So just one drink per, one free drink, and not even like it. Put a cork in it, you can get a couple of good bottles of wine for fairly cheap because it's locally sourced, and then you get not a big carafe, or like a wine glass, but you get the little plastic glasses. So you're not getting like a full, you're getting like a good little 4-ounce drink. You basically if you brought crackers, you could do communion. So if you do 100, 50, 50, so right now you're doing that, you're at $200, right? And then you divide that by how many spaces you think you get, 75% of the total fill, right? So we got 40, so it'd be roughly what, 32? 32 people divided by 200, which is your cost of your show, right? 32 divided by
like how much are you spending?
200. Sorry, I did that backwards. Divided by 32. So you're looking at $625 is the cost that you need to add, at least
to the ticket,
to
right?
break even on the cost of the show, right? For those kind of, and then how much you paying your contractors or your comedians, and that's how I kind of see it, because this is how I break down my costs for my business, to do my hourly rate. So you're at $625 easily. You could sell a show with this kind of stuff for $15.
Yeah,
because you're $15 to get a free drink and you get some candy, dude. That's a homeless person's wet dream. You know what I'm saying? That's like the best thing that could happen to you. Yeah. And I didn't mean that if you're homeless. But that's what I'm saying is like you're really only costing yourself this. And if you can make it $15 a ticket, and then you can easily pay all your people that way, and then you're adding these things, then you know what your cost is, and that's at 75%. So if you ended up selling up your 45, you're making that much more. And then if you really wanted to make a profit, you add 25% on the 200.
That's something, I've always thought about, right? It's like whenever when you spend any money on advertising, if you spend, on Facebook ads or whatever it is, like you spend, you boost the show $25-$50, and then 5 people come off of that, then it pays for itself. That's kind of the way you should look at it. And then so in that case, you're not spending any money, really.
Yeah.
And then so it's like the whole thing with that budget, but it's like, so that's the thing, right? It's like if you could justify spending so if you had a show and you wanted people to show up, it's like I'm going to spend $500 on advertising for this thing, it's like. And that will but if you could guarantee you were going to make at least that off of that money, then it's like,
well, it's a risk.
Yeah,
you're running a damn
but that's
risk.
the thing is like, what is it that the problem is? It's like what's the best source to go to spend that and actually make it worth it, and to actually break even off.
Well, the goal is you make Campbell and Son Electric pay for it, so that way we can see if it works. Yeah. And then if it works, you can keep going.
Because that's the thing is like, that's how, that is the answer that I think that I'm looking for, as far as like, if you think about these big shows that like, even like Tower Theater or something like that put on, they spend probably, I don't know, hundreds, if not $1,000 on advertising for a show, and get posters printed and put them up and get, ads on Facebook and in radio or whatever the hell other sources you could use. But it's like, but they guarantee that they're gonna sell a certain amount of tickets to justify that cost.
Right.
So it's like they can do it. It's like why are we struggling? You know, it's like what is the difference between besides just having that money to spend up front? But I think that's like I can take a loan, you know, I can get the money.
Well, that's the thing is like it's
But
the
it's
buy-in.
like,
You got to buy. It's like playing poker.
But it's
right?
like
You're playing poker with a bunch of other people who have a bunch more money, and you only
Right.
got $30.
Yeah.
So how many hands can you play?
Trying to compete with that
Yeah.
for sure. Because that's the thing is like ultimately, I remember years ago, whenever we were trying to think of a creative project to do, and it's like, oh, I remember we did that one song that we recorded here, and it's like, oh, how can we like
Helsing?
Yeah, it's like we were gonna do like a group or write an album or something, and it's like, okay, well, let's it's like all we have to do is just write the songs, write some original music, and then just like hire a group to play. It's like put on like 1 or 2 shows a year, and just hire some people to help to fill out a band or whatever. It's like you don't have to have a real band together to do this, and then you just hire the musicians, rent out Tower Theater or Beer City Music Hall, put on the advertising, make it
Give
a big
yourself
thing.
plenty of lead time.
Yeah, I mean, put in this 6-month marketing effort or something. It's like guarantee that you're gonna sell X amount of tickets, and then there's nothing stopping any of us from doing that except for the money the time and planning. I mean, just like looking at, we always bring him up with Matt Farrell and like the Wild West Comedy Fest. I'm sure he spent a lot of money on everything that went into that, but it worked out. Like he made it work, and like any of us could do that. I think if we just, you have to know all that, how that process works.
Well, I always thought when we were doing band stuff that like, oh, we're playing too much here. Like we're playing way too much here because we're like people have seen us, and I think it's the same thing with shows too. I think some shows like Put a Cork in It, we're very fortunate with Put a Cork in It Winery that they allow us to do 2 shows a month.
Yeah,
but I think that also,
and they don't get mad that like, oh, this turnout wasn't as well,
Well, they weren't doing anything in that time frame, which is nice. That's what we talked about because I talked to Micah about it. And I was like, hey man, 6:30 is kind of early, especially. I could tell immediately whenever the kids went back to school that like people got to go get. I know what it's like. You don't even get home until 5:30, so it makes it even harder to get. So really, we're catching people that are downtown already, spending their time who took off early from work, or people who are getting off work downtown who are looking for something to eat, chill, and then maybe go out and do something later. So that's who we went from everybody to almost a smaller group, but I think it's also we're doing 2 shows a month. So my promotion has been the Facebook events themselves, and then a catch-all commercial style that just like, hey, Put a Cork in It comedy. And so
you're just promoting that there is comedy at this place,
because I think it's better to promote that, hey, this is a place to come see comedy on the 2nd and 4th week of the month versus like, hey, here's this guy and here's this show. Because now they're like, oh, there's 2 shows. I don't know. I really don't know, man. But I think that with those 3 things running, if you do it with enough money too to get it out there, and then you post in the groups as well, I think that's as much as you can do for social media. Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, that's the thing is like you can post every single day on your personal account. You can post multiple times a day, and it's like that's so much work for just zero, like tiny percentage of anything.
You're better off doing reels.
Yeah.
And then being like, hey, if you want to see
trying to go viral. I mean, that's
that would be the
I mean, that's probably more worth your time.
Yeah.
Because that's like a bigger payoff for like hitting the jackpot, which is a smaller chance to hit, but if you hit it, it's like you need to do that. But even that, it's like I've seen like a lot of comics I know that like go viral, right? Like, and they have like, I don't know what, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's some comics out there that are probably watching this that have had some of their videos hit like 1 million views on TikTok or something. And it's like, okay, well, that's awesome. But it's like, okay, well, you're still in Oklahoma doing comedy. It's
what
like,
can you do with it?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really, mean as much as it seems like it, I think, in a lot of cases. But it's still something. I mean, it's more than I've ever gotten on anything. It's like by far.
The Hawk Tua girl has a podcast.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it doesn't.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it can lead to somewhere for
Yeah,
sure.
It can, but you gotta
But
be that weird little thing that happened.
But
I
even
watch a lot of
then,
dog videos,
Yeah.
and if there's some way I can make, maybe I'll just
Yeah.
put a dog in my video or
Yeah.
something. I mean, that's
honestly,
where I'm at. Yeah, just like, and Liz said something that she recognized that helps her is like if she puts her face into one
Oh yeah.
and doing reels.
Absolutely. I think that's
Yeah.
what I've learned about doing any of this videos. I mean, like my own personal brand or whatever, like social media presence has like, I would say more like probably tripled as far as in the past year of doing this podcast because my face is on it, more like, and people, I learned this probably about maybe a couple years ago when I started really thinking about how to make all this stuff work and stuff. It's like people want to see you. They want, even for somebody that doesn't even do entertainment or whatever, and it's like they just want to grow their social media following or something like that. Like you just post videos of yourself, post pictures of yourself, because that's what people go on there to see. If they're following you because they like you, they want to see your face, they want to see what, how you're doing and just see, hear your talk and stuff like that. So it's like I started doing that for my own personal channel, like leading up to doing the rhythm and wit stuff, which, was just like massive. I mean, as far as like I could post something about my music and stuff, creative stuff that I do and get like 2 or 3 likes, maybe 10 likes on something. But it's like if I post something with my face or of me talking, that's like, 50 likes or, 50 reactions or whatever. Yeah, like night and day difference as far as posting. Just even talking about like, because we used to do this with Stolen Cable right before Josh left, was like we would make videos promoting the shows, and those got just way more interactions than just posting a flyer about it. We would make dumb little videos of us talking about the show
on the porch.
yeah, and it would just be like a 30-second, minute long thing.
Well, it still sticks in my brain.
But yeah,
like, those videos that you guys made,
I think that
then.
those were, and well, I think that's the kind of stuff that you got to do, because I was seeing that a lot more on social media. Then I think it died out over the past year. I mean, just from me, people that I know doing it. So I remember whenever we were a year ago when we started the podcast, we would like shout out people like Jen Shamron, always making those, and like they would they would do, Jen and Roland would do videos together and stuff like that. I mean, and I feel like people would stop doing that.
Well, it's a lot to keep up with. It's hard to keep a lot of people together too. But
well, I mean, just doing any video to promote, like literally just take your phone, take out the selfie camera, and just do like, hey guys, I got a show this week, come out and see us.
Yeah.
Hit post.
That simple little thing.
It doesn't
really
take much time. You don't have to know any
Yeah.
editing, I mean, Instagram and all this stuff has all the weird shit you could add to it or add hashtags and shit. I mean, do like the tags of, right there on the video and shit and stuff to make a reel. So like, I think that's something that does go a long way. It's just like, because it adds this
face forward.
Like you said, it's like you still think about the videos that we did.
I really do. Yeah.
It hits you on an emotional level, seeing your friends talk about this show that they're clearly, because you could see the passion, I think, and it's like that we were excited about something that we were doing, and then it's like it infects you.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what we should be doing too. Like, I'm going to do this. I get all these ideas, but it's really just time. Jesus.
Yeah.
But I'm at the club.
Yeah.
I try to be there twice a week. And that means I go either Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on if I guarantee or not, or depending on if kids got something. And then Thursday, I try to go watch a show. Or Thursday or Friday or Sunday, or Saturday, I try to watch a show. Because I think whenever you do a bunch of open mics, you lose what a real crowd sounds like when somebody hits big.
Yeah.
Because whenever I go there, I'm like, oh, this is what it's supposed to sound like when people laugh.
Yeah, whenever you go to a real, actual, like...
300 people in a tiny room.
A show.
Yeah, just like that amount of people. Bah! You're like, oh, okay, that's what I'm looking for. And it gives you kind of a top. But something that I want to do is before we even get into the open mic is why am I not sitting down with my friends that are going to be in the shows in the same room as me, going, hey man, we're about to go up at Bricktown.
Yeah.
You guys can catch us October 11th. Let's
Mhm.
tag Bricktown in it too, and that's going to boost
Mhm.
the comedy scene.
Right.
Like, there's no reason not to do that, and it's literally just like, I don't want anybody to think I'm weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
You
the
know?
self-conscious stuff
Yeah.
that we have to deal with. I mean, that's the thing, is like I've gotten over that pretty much. I mean, I don't have any issues
Yeah.
putting my face on social media and talking into a camera. Whereas, like, I mean, I know exactly what that's like. I mean, getting those feelings of not wanting to do that for sure. But it's like, it's not that hard to overcome. And I think once you do it, I mean,
Yeah. Well, I'm so out there now
Mhm.
that it's like, Jesus, just give me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I want some time that's just like, I need to get ready for the set, kind
Right.
of be in my head about it. But I think that's the hard work.
Mhm.
That's the work that nobody's doing that you got to do that's going to make you different,
Mhm.
you know?
But yeah, I think it's something about video that I love is like, especially on this topic of like making these personal videos about promoting a show or promoting whatever you're doing, is like it lets people into like the real world, or not that it's even real, because you could have a script, it's all scripted out.
Yeah.
But still, it's like it lets people in and puts them closer to it in a way. It's like that's what I love about showcasing anything that we do, is like it's like letting them see it closer than they would if, obviously, if you're not there. I mean, if you're there, you're experiencing it, but it's like for the people that aren't there, that are curious or want to know more about like a festival or something. It's like I love being able to put that out for people to see and feel like they can, like I said, it just gets them a little bit closer to that, to what it is.
Well, you can also, you're like reporting from the inside of it to be like, hey, come on. And like you say, it gives it more life. I mean, even
extends the life.
All of this, everything that is performance is all belief. And the more people that believe, the more that it's going to be successful.
Because I always think about that too, because you always talk about, I always think about how like doing like magic, like whatever kind of magic tricks and stuff, like a magician, right? Like on stage is so similar to comedy, because it's like in the same. I think the reason why is because you're tricking someone into thinking or feeling something. It's like you're making someone, and it's all an illusion, right? It's like everything that we do, we're walking around this illusion that we make up in our heads, because those are our experiences coming in, and our brains are trying to make sense of them. But it's just like with comedy. I mean, the comedy, because right, like you set up a story or something, and you put someone in a place, and makes them feel certain emotions that like they weren't there. They don't really know. But it's like this magic. You're putting on this like veil of like something that's, I don't know. It's just, like it is. It's magic, right?
Well, I got this one joke, and I think it's a really great example of. It's like and I don't know if it's like, I've got a couple of them. I've been working on just like one-liners, but it's very. You set up the story very quickly. So it's like, hey, I was in Walmart. Not bragging, but I was in Walmart, and I saw this lady, and she had the brand Guess written real big on her shirt, and I was like, 275 pounds. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And immediately, once you say 275 pounds, you figure out who the antagonist is. It's the lady. It's very awkward, because you're like, I can't believe he would say 275
like,
pounds isn't fat if you're 6'3".
Right.
But you automatically assume that she's fat.
Yeah, who knows?
Right? Because she's a lady. Right? Because ladies are built a little shorter. So it's all these assumptions. So you're setting up an assumption, and you're shattering and the more assumptions you can shatter in one word, the better off it is. And it's the same thing with a card trick.
Right.
You're setting up an assumption, and you're shattering that assumption.
Because this is what it is, right? It's like the real, I think the key, the similarity, and you just touched on it too, was this: you're invoking a sense of awe, or shock, or
surprise.
Surprise.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's what we're all, you're looking for with comedy for sure, is like this, sense of like amazement.
Well, how do we do that in the beginning of our ad? How do we create that emotional response within that first few moments?
Yeah, I think it is like kind of, you could start with a joke or something. You know,
It's
what I
not
mean,
a bad
honestly,
idea. Yeah.
like that's probably what you should be doing if you're a comedian, right? Like showcase it being funny because that is an emotional response that is very powerful. But I do think with music, and I have seen this occasionally over the past couple years of me making music or videos or reels to promote music, is like the most successful ones that I've done or I've seen be successful, right? Is like this emotional music connection that you have like a video of a song that we record, of our song, and then you have a video element of it. But if the musical aspect is powerful, then it will resonate with people.
No, I agree. I mean, it's the same reason why we watch movies and have music in those.
Yeah.
I just got done watching Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that was a good. I think I can't remember who did the score for that, but it was somebody, a very good big music composer. I can't think of the name.
Well, I don't know if you remember that.
I think it was
watching
Danny
with my
Elfman,
daughter.
was it?
I don't know. I didn't even
Maybe.
look. I just remember thinking like, dude, the music on this is insane. Because my daughters are watching it and they don't watch scary movies, but it's basically like a
that movie. It's a horror movie pretty much because Wanda is a
Evil Dead.
fucking monster in it. Like she
is.
There's like this part where she's like covered in like I guess it's like oil
That's
or
what I'm talking
something,
about.
but
Yeah.
it's just like she's a
That's the
monster
part.
like walking through like.
and she's covered in oil, but it's made to look like blood. She like
exactly.
steps on glass, so she hurts her foot. So she's like walking slow like a Halloween.
But that's why because Sam Raimi
Halloween
made
movie.
that. He's a horror genius.
and it's all in there with it too. Like he, the good guy ends up being dead in it, and so because I don't know if you've seen it. I'm sorry,
No spoilers.
You missed your opportunity. But no, it was. But we're sitting there watching it, and it's that part where she's walking through there. She's walking slow. She's very monster like, and they close that big iron door, and she was stuck behind it. Right, she was stuck behind it, and in the moment they're cutting in close to Doctor Strange's face, to his ex-girlfriend, and to America, the girl that he's trying to protect, and it goes between them, and they heighten the violins. And they heighten the atmosphere sound, so the water dripping. So basically, whenever you're sitting in that moment in fear, right? They, my daughter, you could see her. She was like, I was like, it's just a movie. It's just sound. Like it's not even. But that's what you do whenever you're in a scary situation. Your senses get heightened, and they express that. You know what I'm saying? They showed you
the
that.
music. I'm sure. I was like trying to find. I want to find who did the sound or the who is the composer for this? Why is it not original music? Danny Elfman. I was right.
You're right. Nice. That's killer. But no, you know what I'm talking about. That scene where she jumps out and jump scares you.
Yeah. And
then they swell the violence. They make the sound of the atmosphere up, bring it up, and they keep panning to each person's face and getting a little closer. And so and way longer than they should.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, but
that's why. I mean, a lot of people. That movie is mixed on their reviews and what people think about it, and I think that it's not. It's probably not the best that it could be. I mean, but I like it.
9-year-old?
No, I like it because it is. I mean, I love Sam Raimi. The problem with it is that if you don't like Sam Raimi, then you just don't like the movie. I mean, people. There are a lot of people that don't like his style and direction and the way what he does with film, which I get. It's like it's fine.
Well,
but
everywhere he goes, he's shattering expectations.
Right.
He holds that tension way longer than he needs to. You're sitting there with it, but when you're a 9-year-old kid, that tension is forever. Right. And so she's like, I don't even know, and then. I know what's going to happen, and in my head, I'm laughing before she even gets scared, right? She's like, what are you laughing at? I was like, just keep watching. It's good.
Because you start to recognize the setup of things before when you're a kid, you can't. But I think that is because that's the whole horror genre, right? It's like horror is so popular because it has such a strong emotional
But let's set up you set up your anticipation. You set up, and then you give the release. You give the surprise. Even in horror, it's the same thing. In any art, you set up an expectation, and then you either shatter or justify it.
But I do think. I mean, I think you're right for sure because that's in more of like a narrative sense, though. Because what if you don't have a narrative to go off of? Like, I mean, I think about music isn't really a narrative. I mean, it does. You can play with expectations because we do that in music. Like you have, Like in
That's what a
Josh's,
refrain is.
yeah, Josh is very good at
Mm-hmm.
making a narrative. I think with his music, just on the music and the structure of it, because he'll like put in like false stops, you
I
know,
love
or it's
that.
like when
Yeah.
you think the song's over and then it comes back and it's just like the best thing that ever to happen. But like so that, you know, but what about visual art, you know, like
Well, that's
it's just a piece of art that you see.
Well, that's
but,
contrast.
But what I think about that is like you see, because I love like visual art. I mean, I know a ton of visual artists, and it's like I'm constantly like amazed by their creations because like the first time you see something, it invokes an emotion, or it's like I said, it goes back to the sense of awe, of like amazement. You're like, oh my god, I've never seen this before, and it's like novelty too, like anything that's new.
Well, you
you're
remember
like,
Neil? I mean, Neil Robinson. Shout out our
oh
buddy
yeah,
Neil.
our friend that we've known for like
Forever.
30
You remember
years.
Neil? Yeah. So you know Neil Robinson. The something I always liked. It's and I think I've watched this guy draw since we were in sixth grade, right?
Yeah,
And he would
brilliant. He's a brilliant artist in many aspects.
Well, his brother Nathan too. I mean, but something that I noticed about him is he would do hyper realistic pen and ink, and then he would do the architectural geometric shapes.
Mix of media for sure.
And then you remember that, so he did that for a little while, where it was like faces and geometric shapes, and then he started doing hyper realistic geometric shapes, cityscapes. You remember that? And I remember thinking like, dude, I've never seen the city or realistic things put in this like abstract perspective, you know, where it was like put up against two.
Right, because he would just have like a giant circle of just a solid color in this corner, and then like really detailed stuff over here.
Yeah, or
Just that
they would
contrast,
overlap,
yeah.
and the color would come in, and then I don't know, man. What is it saying? What's the statement?
Yeah,
you know, like I don't know. It's not. I'm not an art guy, but
it's like all art is all subjective, and I mean visual art specifically is like it is. It doesn't need an explanation because it's before that. That's what's important is the feeling before any kind of explanation can even happen. It's like you have an emotion, and that's what matters, you know. And that's, you know, people. I think that most of us humans, even, it's like we try to explain things too much. It's like not everything needs an explanation.
That's
know?
true. I think you're right. I think a lot of people you'll put things in boxes because that's what we do as humans.
I mean, that's just that's how we operate, and then we have to do that because it's like I think about this all the time. Whenever you hear a loud noise or something happens suddenly in your life, you're just walking down the street and you're like, or you see this example, you're walking down the street and somebody just is running the opposite direction. You're like, you just start making stuff up. Like, oh, well, he must be running from something, or, you know, or something. Or you hear like a loud noise and you're like, oh, that must have been a car backfire. It couldn't have been a gunshot, you know? But it's like, that's why, because you're scared. You want to explain things to feel safe about it, you know, to
I like the idea of like,
but
that was a pow, not a pew.
You know? Yeah. But it's just like, that's just the way we operate, and that's how we have to survive. But ultimately, you know, with art and things like that, I think that it is like, I think that we have to kind of learn to just enjoy the emotion or the feelings as they are, and not really try to explain things too much sometimes.
Unless I mean, my idea is like, oh, I want to recreate this. How did this happen? But, you know, when I would look at Neil's stuff, it was like, I assume that it's going to be geometric shapes.
Yeah.
What he's doing is he's surprising me by putting these two things together and going like contrast. Like one's very much contrasting the other. And so I think it is creating an. I think one of the underlying rules is create an assumption, or there is already an existing assumption. I think that's why some art can be challenging, is because it's like you're creating or working with an existing assumption, and then you're moving to either showing them these are two things that don't belong together, or that are contrasting elements and what they make you feel. You know, whatever, and that could be different for you or everybody else. And again, I'm not an art guy.
I think it's, like I said, it goes back to this novelty thing that you've never seen. It's like you said, you've never seen something that's so detailed contrasted with something that's simple and geometric and things like that. And
But they're taking on each other, and
yeah, and it could be a bigger metaphor, because that's the thing about art is like you take something from it and you're like you apply it to your own self. I mean, really, and it's like and because that's the thing with like you see something,
that's a good point.
somebody, Neil makes something, and he has an idea what it means to him. But that doesn't really matter in the end. I mean, it's a reflection of himself, and so it could help him. Visual art, or any art can help the creator learn about themselves more, or figure something out, or even just get out a thought or an idea, and just get it out of your head, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. Sometimes, and then, but it still comes from them, right? So it's a reflection of them. But then other people see that, and then they see something from themselves and apply that. So it's like another, and that's how art connects us.
Yeah. Well, this goes back to something you said. I mean, you've said it a lot, and I think about this all the time too. Is like you move closer to what you recognize as you.
Yeah.
And some people don't feel anything for those pictures.
Yeah.
They'll be like,
and that's
I have
fine,
no contrast with it.
But they can see another style of art and then go towards that.
Yeah, it's something that resonates with them, and then they get closer. I think that also whenever your friend is doing the art and you see it, you're like, oh, I didn't know that was in him.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I wonder what he's trying to say, as a person.
Especially, if you know the person, you can you definitely have, and that could shatter an expectation that you have on someone that, it's like it kind of evokes, and it's like it all goes to emotions too, and feelings and things like that, and like you have this like sense of a reverse too, like you're saying with comedy and stuff. It's like you set up an expectation, and then it's changed, shattered. And then you're like, oh wow, that's an emotion that you don't didn't expect, but it resonates, because that's all of it is. Like anything that we care about or remember, like our memories, are even deeply tied to emotion. So if you have a strong emotion during an event, I mean, this is why trauma is so bad, because you could have a traumatic event where it's like, say you're in a car wreck and something happens, and it's like this happens to me, or it has happened to me before. It's like, because I haven't been in a car wreck in a long time, thankfully.
No, we can go.
Hopefully, no.
Ryland's on the road.
But it's like I remember one time I was, and like there was like a certain song that was playing, and so it's like that, and then every time you hear that song, you remember that time, because it was so they're tied together now because of that strong emotional like fear or whatever happened.
I feel the same way about the thong song. It's like in 2000 or 1997. That's when
a tragic year.
It was just a rough year. It was a rough year.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going through puberty. No, that's 100% one of my favorite songs. That's one of my favorite.
Cisco the Dragon.
Come on, dude. It's one of my favorite songs to do in karaoke. And that and the Bloodhound Gang. You remember that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Do it like they do on the
Discovery Channel. Yeah. Nothing but mammals. Yeah, that.
What is the name of that song?
All right, well, let's get into it.
It was like. I can only remember the lyrics.
But it was Bloodhound Gang. That whole album is a lot more. You wouldn't expect it.
Yeah. No, they're legit, like good, like very good art. Like that song blew up, and it was just a comedy thing. But like I think their music is way better than just that song made them to.
Is it the Bad Touch?
I guess so. Yeah.
Is it the Bad Touch? Yeah, Bad Touch. But Foxtrot Uniform Charlie Kilo is just a killer song.
Yeah, it's like I said. I remember. Yeah, somebody I used to know really loved that band, and I was like, "You like that band?" Like they made that dumb song, but but it was way more deeper than that.
Yeah, and even that song was killer.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great song. It's just one of those. It seemed like a one-hit wonder, but I'm sure. I think their music. It's like what's another band? I don't know. There's lots of bands like. Oh, let's talk about this.
Smash Mouth? Are you talking
Thin
about?
Lizzy, you know that band?
Yeah.
Thin Lizzy. They have some fucking bangers from like the 70s classic rock shit, like deep cuts that like they're all like so good, but it's like everyone only knows like the certain ones that are popular, but they have some really, really good stuff.
And their guitar at work is really good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of. I had that. I don't know if you remember when we were doing vinyl, but I had a couple
Yeah.
of those on vinyl that we
Mhm.
would listen to pretty regular when we were doing mushrooms. But the anyways, Campbell Sun Electric. uh, no, but I want to talk. So we talked about personal connection. I think the face forward reels. I think you're
Yeah.
right. I think that's an important thing. Something else that I've been thinking about doing, which I haven't really done yet. Whenever I make my reels or whenever I do my stories, that's where I do a lot of my promotion outside of
Mhm.
the pushing. Because I do like
Yeah.
I'll do one at the beginning of the week to like, hey, this is what we're doing this
And
month, or
that's
this is
yeah.
what's upcoming, and then I'll do probably one the day before the show,
Mhm.
and then I'll post in the groups. But but one of my favorite things is to pick a song that
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
appropriate for the
Yeah.
situation and the people in it. But what I think I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start using local bands
Mhm.
songs and tagging them in it,
Yeah.
so that because I see your guys on there, because whenever we're
Mhm.
doing the jokes and jams, that's
Mhm.
all I did.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they have that. All my music's right here that I
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
Amina is now
Yeah.
one of my favorite songs.
It's a great song.
It's
I
a
love
really
every
good
time they
song.
play that song. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. And I texted him. I
Yeah.
texted Pineapple Willows personally. I was like, you guys, this song's been stuck in my head since I've seen it, and I listen to it regularly. It's like
Mhm.
one of my favorite songs now.
Mhm.
And but just that how that's got to be inspiring,
Yeah.
and also I would like to think they would be incentivized to share it.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, at the very least, it's like it kind of connects you to them, or it's like it kind of reinforces this kind of because it's like anytime that you even like I'm sure I mean we know from like we'll shout people out on this show all the time, and like people love that, like they're like, and it's because it's like they feel seen, and it's like
Mhm.
and that ties, so it's like even if you just want to make better connections with your friends and stuff like that. I mean, that are in groups and stuff like that. It's like if you use their music or shout them out on stuff, it's like it's just deepens that connection between,
Yeah. Well,
people.
that's another part. Is like team up with local businesses.
Mhm.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing. Team up with local, because
But
those are the people that are going to have more interest in
But
helping
I
you.
will say
you know?
Dante is like super good about like sharing other people's
Yeah.
stuff. Like he's one of the very few people that I see do it often besides like us. I mean, we don't do it as much as we used to, but
Mhm.
but he will just share random shows that he's not involved with at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he shares our stuff a lot all the time. Anytime that I mean, not every time, but like he'll just, share our podcast, and it's
Yeah.
just a random
And
Tuesday.
it's super, yeah, and it's nice and it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like definitely having friends like that is good, and so
I like to share things I think I'm going to be able to go to,
yeah,
as
yeah,
a way of kind of remembering.
yeah.
But yeah, that's.
I mean, I used to do that a lot more because I would be very excited about shows. Like I would have stuff in my calendar and just post the calendar like screenshot. Like
yeah.
here's all the shows I want to go to this weekend or whatever, and just to kind of help promote, but also I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's just
Do you think
fun.
it's just living? Living's getting in the way right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
for me, it's like I just haven't thought about. I only post, this show, like try to promote. I don't even promote that enough because it's like if I did have more time and stuff, it's like I would cut out more reels and try to post. It's like here's a clip of Michael Dunn, from last week, and
Yeah.
then go watch the full episode, and that would help. I'm sure get people to watch it more, but yeah, it's just a lot of the time it takes. I think the key is, though, honestly, is to, and for anyone, I think a tip is to like figure out how to make these things, because it's always hard to do it first, or so you're figuring out, okay, like you're saying, you post on Monday, you post on Wednesday, and it's like you have to figure that stuff out and set it up. But once you have that process, you just do that every week,
Yeah, yeah.
and then it's not hard anymore. So it's like for me right now, I'm rearranging my entire life schedule, like on a daily basis because it's so much different than it was a month ago. So I'm still trying to figure out where stuff fits in.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I haven't been posting, or even making anything. Like I haven't been editing anything. It's like I have a full video of our performance from Jokes and Jams that I haven't touched because
Oh,
I just
really?
don't have really time.
Yeah.
And then yeah, but it's just like about making the time for those things and then kind of figuring out where it fits in your schedule and then put it there and then just do it over and over.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I'm at the point where I feel like I'm running from one thing to the next. Like that's I'm like, and I'm trying to find more space for. Like I said,
Right.
we have a son that's driving now, so now I have to like go out. I mean, I make a point to go out with him every weekend or every day, every night. I try to go every night.
Yeah.
And go, hey, we got to get you on the
Yeah.
road and get you prepared.
Yeah.
So that's what 30 minutes to an hour,
Mhm.
and then you're looking at trying to do comedy, trying to do
Yeah.
a job. I think that's just living.
I think ultimately though, it's like you got to do everything you can. You can't like. I mean, you got to try, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if you can't, then you don't, and that's fine because you just. And I think that what ultimately matters is gonna get done. You know, to you, like what absolutely matters the most.
Get rid of these kids, dude.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, so your kids are the most important thing
by far.
So it's like they're gonna get taken care of, and it's like maybe there's some extracurricular stuff that you want to do with them. Maybe you want to take them to do some more stuff that you can't get to, but you know, it's like you're gonna have to make some sacrifices, no matter what it is. Whether it's, you know, even personal things that you want to do, or it's like you got to make a choice sometimes, and it's like no matter what, hopefully, because the worst thing is to overextend yourself and then nothing is going to get done. That's what I do.
The burnout.
That's what happens to me, especially currently or the past month or so. Is like I've been going way too hard, and then I'll overpromise and like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this and this and this, and then half that stuff falls away because I just can't. It's like I thought I was going to be able to have the capacity for certain things that I just don't, and then it comes down to the end of the week, and it's like because you have to take time for yourself to recover from any, you know, like self-care is super important. That I think that a lot of people struggle with, you know, the overwork, you know, those people that you got to work that into your schedule too. You got to make sure you have, like, even for me today, it's like I'm probably going to regret, you know, this weekend. It's like I did have Friday evening. I mean, not really, because I work, but you know, it's like I kind of have certain times where it's like, okay, I'm just not going to do anything. But it's like this. Yesterday I was busy most of the day. Today I'm going to be busy for the whole day. So it's like I don't even really have a weekend. You know, and then back to work tomorrow.
I mean, when you go back to, well, like for me, it's like, man, this stuff has become. I don't know if we want to. Okay, yeah, I don't know. This stuff has become almost a burden, and this is what they talk about whenever it's like, this is the grind. You know, it was fun when we first started, just like any job.
Yeah.
You know, and new and exciting and scary. But now it's like, okay, we got to do this. I got to try to do this family stuff, and I got to do work, and it's like, but I still love this to where it's like it feeds me in a way that I have to have it.
Right.
You know, where
I
mean,
it's like that's the thing. It's like you can't afford not to do it.
My
really.
mentality can't afford not to do it. You know, and then also I'm better with my kids and wife. You know, I'm a happier person.
Yeah.
Do I need to be doing as much? Probably not. I just like being successful,
Right.
you know, or I like looking at it in the way that I'm successful, which is get more stage time, you know, and then help people as we're going along. But what can you do other than just kind of, do you find peace in this and make it be the healing thing in comedy and in music, in your art? Or does it get to a point to where you see yourself getting eaten by it?
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that because then you don't enjoy it. That's what I did with music for a long time. And I don't want to do that with this. Like, this is like, this is the last thing I got, you know, other than video games.
Right.
You know?
I think it is about finding what is actually helpful and like not focusing. You got to figure out, you know, what you can cut out that is actually a waste of time, you know, because there's probably a lot of stuff, like I said, you stress over a lot of stuff that doesn't actually matter as much as you think it does. And so it's like you got to learn how to cut that stuff out, which, I mean, who knows, you know. I think that's maybe the best way to do that is to like take a step back and try to look at it from a different perspective. Because you get lost in the weeds, right? Like you're in it and you don't even know what. It's like you could be so stressed out about all this stuff and you're like, what is it actually that's stressing you out? You know, you can't see it unless you can take a step back. And that comes from like self-care of like just, you know, trying to learn meditation or try to do that kind of self-reflection in any way, whatever way you can do it. or even just going on long walks, to clear your head.
Well, that's why I like that my job is physical.
Yeah.
Because it does get that out
Because
of my
you can
system.
kind of lose yourself, or your body is moving, and it kind of clears your head up to.
And I do electrical for so long that now it's like, all right, I can just go work.
Right.
One of the, and I say this, and it's not kind of a joke, but it's like one of the things that really makes me want to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to quit. I'm gonna make that sure. But it's like,
but we all have those days.
If
where
I was on the edge, if my daughter, it's my youngest right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other two are just too into their screens. It's a tough thing. I feel bad for the future kids for the screen stuff that they have to deal with, but they're gonna be smarter than us, so it don't matter. But she will be like, "Hey, Dad, don't leave.
Yeah,
I'm gonna miss you." And you're like, "Oh, I gotta quit comedy now."
Yeah.
Like, whenever you hear that, but it's like, well, I'm here when I am here now. I'm a much better father. I'm better at, we do things. I think you need that trash time too, where you're just sitting around hanging out with each other, eating a bowl of cereal. But we do that on Saturday. So like, but I think she's manipulating me. No, I think she does have this like. She misses me.
Yeah.
She doesn't see me as much as the other two got me all the time.
Right.
You know? And so they don't want me.
But also like I was just thinking that too. It's like eventually they get. I mean, I don't know this for I know this because I am a human and this happened to me. But like you get to a point in your life where it's like you don't want anything to do with your parents.
That's where Ryland is. That's where Ryland.
It's like
is.
you don't. Want, and I think that's a natural thing because we get to a point, and as we age and grow up, it's like. You have to cut your parents off and these people that raised you, whoever it is that was your security, you could always fall back on. And it's like you get to a point in your life where you have to figure out what you're capable of on your own.
Yeah.
And it's like the only way to do that is to cut off the people that have been supporting you and to go out and try to see what you can do and things like that. And I think as I think about this all the time, is like I think I'm still in that phase of my life where I'm just like, because I don't know, I think that my parents definitely I relied on them for a lot longer than probably most people do or further in their life or something like that. I don't know. I should have probably left the nest much earlier and tried to start exploring my own life, but yeah, I think, but that's my own complex that I have to deal with. But yeah, I think, every kid does that. So there will be a point whenever you're, gonna be begging them to hang out with you.
Yeah. Well, that's where I'm seeing it in Ryland, and that's why it's hitting me harder with my youngest.
Yeah.
Because she is our last baby, and she's in this really sweet spot where she's 9 and we're playing Minecraft and doing things, and it's so easy to get her to do something with you. You'd be like, "You want to go outside and like go play sticks, play swords?" And she's like, "Yeah, I do." When Ryland was younger, I made him a sword. Like I cut it out of wood, and I made it all super cool, and I made it with like a jigsaw. We still have it.
Yeah.
And it's gone through each child. Like each child is this. This is the cool sword. I get this one. Like and to see that, and to kind of go, well, I'm not gonna. There's not gonna be a lot longer that we're gonna be playing with this thing.
Yeah.
And it's that does get me demotivated. That's probably the only thing that does.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. So it's like you kind of have to just, just try to enjoy it,
ignore
for
it
now. But it's like, but I do think about this, specifically with you, and I think that thinking about where we're gonna be like as partners in like creativity, right, and whatever we're doing in like 5 years from now, 10 years, 15 years from now. I think we're going to have all the time in the world to do bullshit, music, and comedy. And it's like, because it's like, unless, of course, at that time, maybe I'll have kids. So that, this reverse, who knows?
I'll be here.
But
I remember how hard it was, man.
But no, but I mean, that would be the only, but regardless, if things continue to go how they are, then then we'll have all the time in the world.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I brag about this, but we had kids young.
Yeah,
because we were like,
But that's good.
I wanted to be young enough to play with them.
You're gonna have
because I had old parents
to be creative with yourself, and I think that's probably the best time to be it. Anyways, you'll be more mature to
more
and
resources.
Yeah.
We'll have the resources too.
Hmm.
That's something I miss, like that I have now that I didn't have when we were doing music. Was I was making $11 an hour, and I
Yeah.
was living by myself, or if whoever I
Hmm.
was living, I was living on my own,
Hmm.
and I had to get out of that house as soon as I could.
Hmm.
You remember it
Yeah.
was tough. I mean, it was with grandparents, so it was,
Hmm.
the TV was the loudest it ever had to be. It was on 100 volume, and it
Yeah.
was just like I love them,
Yeah.
but I gotta go. So as soon as I got 10.50 an hour and I
Hmm.
turned 18, I was gone. you know, uh, so I think that, like you said, one necessity breeds innovation. I think that's what
Hmm.
that was. But also, I was built that way, and I see it in Rylan.
Hmm.
He's always been very independent.
Hmm.
He looks like a 23-year-old, so people treat him like that.
Yeah. It's like he's already kind of
Yeah.
like he probably even sees himself as more of an adult than most kids his age because he looks like, what I mean, he looks in the
Yeah.
mirror.
Well, and then
and
when
you
people treat you
see,
like that,
yeah, exactly.
and
It's
they
like,
don't give you any wiggle room,
hmm,
they don't let you be a
yeah,
kid,
right.
then it's like, hey, I'm managing all this stuff.
Hmm.
And he can. And a lot,
Yeah.
what we do now is we're basically like, don't be a dummy,
Yeah.
and my main concern is drugs, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's smart enough to where he knows how to get out of that. And
Yeah.
I built him with my determination
Hmm.
and my, like, hey, make things happen for yourself. Don't
Yeah.
wait around until somebody else
Right.
figures it out for you.
Hmm.
And so he's out there doing that,
Hmm.
killing it. He's putting together, like, hey, I'm going to go play soccer with
Yeah.
who? I don't know. I'm going to go to the soccer field. We're just going to grab people.
Yeah.
And
just
he
make
makes
it.
things happen,
That's good.
and that's the kind of so.
I mean, I'm sure seeing
But he
you
doesn't
guys,
need our help anymore.
like he sees
that,
you
like,
guys
hurts.
doing that too. It's like
Yeah.
you're out here making your own fun with comedy, and Liz is making her own art with putting her own groups of artists together
Yep.
and hanging out.
So they
it's
see
like,
it.
That's what you can. That's what you're capable of. So
Mhm.
you can do that for yourself.
But it's hard to watch him to let go.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I see this little one, I'm like,
Yeah.
you're the last one,
Yeah.
dude. You still think I'm cool.
Yeah.
My middle
it.
one, I forget about her.
That's what happens to the middle
no.
child.
No, she's in that sweet spot where it's like, well, she's a girl too. I think it might be different for boys. I really don't know
Yeah.
yet. But she's like, I don't know. She's a good kid, man. She doesn't get in any trouble. She doesn't like. But yeah, she's. I don't know, man. Into violin and viola and into just art and like. So she's just
Yeah.
quiet and hanging out at the house. She's like, come
Yeah.
look at this. That's it.
But that's good. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the thing is, you got like different, even between the three of them, they have different kind of inclinations of like, Brian seems more socially inclined, and Inez is very creative and like wants to create art and share that with the world.
Iris is gonna be a comedian.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
100%,
say. She's very.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like she's just interested in everything, like just the world itself.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Mhm.
We got real good at raising kids when we got to her.
Yeah,
I feel
She's
bad
got the
for
best.
Rylan and Inez, but
But it's
we
like
were well practiced.
But that's the thing is like even with you going back to Rylan, like you said, I mean, he had to learn a lot of things that that the others won't ever learn or didn't have to learn
Yeah.
how to and that's going to lead them to other places in the world too. I think, which I think it's all good. I mean, as long as like you said, if you don't get wrapped up in drugs and mainly more so than that, because I think that this ties into drugs. Obviously, the drug use problem for anyone is the inability to manage emotion.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can't, as long as you can learn how to do that, drugs shouldn't be a problem. I mean, it's like I think that's or even alcohol too. It's like I see this all the time with people. It's like the main most of my friends that have alcohol problems just have problems dealing with their emotion and their anxiety. Like, and even for me, right? It's like I had for years the only reason I ever really drank was to calm myself down. It's like
yeah, same.
and once I learned how to do that without alcohol, it's like I don't need it anymore.
I do a little bit of that with weed, but I think weed helps me kind of put it in perspective.
It's a different.
Do you get that?
Yeah, I think it's a different. But I do think it is very similar. It's like as far as you rely on it to manage your emotion, and there's plenty of ways to do that without any substance. at all. I mean, just exercise. I
Yeah.
mean, that's literally will help any kind of stress. I mean, it lowers stress, it lowers anxiety. I mean, yeah, there's tons of different tools that are safe and you can, I mean, obviously you can abuse exercise and go overboard with anything, but still, it's like not nearly as dangerous as over abusing alcohol or drugs.
Yeah.
So where it's like that becomes all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Well, hopefully, I don't think they're gonna.
yeah,
run
that's what I
into
mean.
that.
It's like
I'll tie him to a chair. I think that's
I don't think
appropriate,
that's
right?
because it's like in most cases those come from like childhood trauma where it's like you have an abusive parent, which is clearly not the case. So it's like,
yeah,
I mean, besides maybe making fun of them or something.
a lot, dude. I'll tell you, I got Rylan this couple days ago. He's in his room. And he hadn't hit a lick all day. I mean, he hadn't done nothing.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting in his room in his underwear, in his shorts,
pajamas,
and he's like hanging out, and he's just laying down. He's playing video games, talking
Yeah.
to his girlfriend. So something that kids do now is they'll set up their phone with
Yeah.
FaceTime, and their girlfriend will be on there. And my son doesn't wear a shirt when he's home, so as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned, that's not cool.
Yeah.
And so, but they're like talking, and he'll play a video game, and then he'll have his Discord on in
Yeah.
one ear so he can
Yeah.
talk to his friends. But really, they're just they're not
Yeah.
even talking. They're just like
Right.
they're just like on the
It's
phone
just
with
that
each other.
sense of like being together in any way.
And do you remember whenever you talked
Yeah.
on the phone when you were
I
younger?
mean, that's like,
it'd
yeah.
be the
I
same
think
thing.
most kids did that with
Yeah.
their friends, is like you just hang out. I mean, it's just like the reason why people, I like watching streamers and things like that, or even on YouTube and stuff. It's like you get the sense of hanging out with someone even if there's no one there.
Yeah. No, that's the benefit of it too.
Mhm.
Like I kind of dig that. I'll do that whenever I'm playing games too. So it's not like a
Yeah.
weird thing, and I like it. But the thing is so we're sitting there. I had come home from work. Liz had got done because she drives everybody for 4 hours every day because she has to go to 3 different schools because
Mhm.
Oklahoma is a terrible place for schools. So we have to go to charter schools to try to get good education for our kids.
Mhm.
So the thing is we bring the kids home. We're doing this. We're hanging out. And he goes, hey, it's 9:00. I was like, hey man, we got to do some cleaning in here,
Mhm.
because it's we got to do something because it's getting pretty rough. And then he goes, he's like, well, do you guys think you could at least wash my clothes so I have clothes for tomorrow? I was like, at least?
It's like, that's something that you could do. That's what I'm talking
You-
about.
I was like, at least? I was like, you think at least we should
Yeah.
be doing? And so all night I was like, the least you could do, like all
Just
night.
bring it, yeah.
Just
But
like,
that's the thing. That's what I like about comedy, right? It's
Yeah.
like you're pointing out the absurdity of something that, like, okay, well, if you want to be a smart
you've been
ass,
laying around all day.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, because I do think that obviously that's a dumb thing for kids. I think that kids say dumb stuff like that because they're like testing out, like they're just testing out being human or being
Yeah.
interacting with
they
people.
saw somebody. do
Yeah.
it.
So
He
I
was
think
like,
about that a lot.
That was a cool thing to say.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
like, let me see if I can,
Yeah.
it's like
I did it. I watched
no-
Clerks.
Right. Yeah, so it's like, but if you don't point it out and make fun of it, then you're going to keep doing it and it becomes a complex. And
Well, and then I could be the other end, which is basically like, don't fucking say that.
Yeah.
Don't be
Don't-
that
yeah.
way. Yeah. Why? Well, because that's disrespect. Was like, no. Let me make you feel it.
yeah.
You know,
And
it's
it's like, and then keep bringing it up because
Yeah.
it's like how dumb it was to even
Well,
say
I
in the
took him
first
out that
place.
night and to go driving. I was like, the least you could do is put your shoes on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm taking you out to drive. The least you could do is put a shirt on. Like I was just everything that we were dealing with that night. And he was like, I was like, and because what I was going to do is like, hey, just pick up these clothes so we can go
Yeah.
do some laundry. And so
Yeah.
he was like, well, the least you guys could do is like do my clothes so I have clothes for. I was like, now you got to clean your whole room.
Yeah.
And the least you could do is vacuum. You know what I'm saying? And that was the theme all night. And I think that comes from comedy to help you
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, you see, it points out the things that you might not that we so much ignore. I mean,
Yeah.
every aspect of life we try to ignore the things that are unpleasant or whatever it is. I mean, that's why like I love people like Cameron Buckholz. I remember telling him at the show, at that Jokes and Jam show, was like, I think that his comedy definitely rubs a lot of people the wrong way because it's who he is. I mean, he knows that. You know, an asshole when he's on stage, and you
That's
know
part of the
that's his
persona,
thing,
yeah.
and that's fine. But I did remember the first few times I saw him, I was like, "This guy sucks. I hate this guy." You know, like as far as his comedy, but like. But I've seen him a bunch now, and it's like I do get. What I really appreciate is that like he is willing to point out the bullshit that's going on around us, and it's like, yeah, he's an asshole about it, but like he's still saying this stuff that everyone else is afraid to say, and especially by being rude about it, it makes you even like think about it more because it has that emotional impact.
Yeah.
You're like, I hate this the way this guy is talking about this thing, but it makes me think about it because it's
and it makes sense.
effective.
Well, I think the hard part about an open mic is in that persona is you can't say you don't have time.
Right.
You know?
That's I have seen him at some open mics where the first few times I'd seen him, and it was like. And that's only like 5 minutes or less. So, but yeah, because of the jokes and jams, I thought he was great. Honestly, I think that he was very.
He had a lot of fun,
and he was just basically riffing the whole time, which is awesome.
Well,
and, and shows his talent because he could get up there. Because what did he do? Like, was it 15 minutes for each?
Yeah, it was 15, or he had. I think he had 20.
Yeah,
she
but
Ashley
still,
had 10.
But that was still like 20 minutes of just. Getting up there with he had maybe one or two bits that he
with the crowd that he had, he was like talking to people, bouncing off. He was doing his thing.
But yeah, he was just making fun of all of us.
Yeah,
just like which that was great. It's just
he was like, I don't want to make fun of Liz and Nick. Because they put on this show, and I'm really appreciative of it. But
no, but it's like that's what we need. I think.
I agree.
I think especially as musicians, it's like that never happens to us as far as like because we're not in that same scene for the most part, where it's just like the absurdity isn't pointed out, and like and the just best continues.
Is when somebody does that, even if it's kind of like. It's obviously in fun.
Yeah, that's the thing you have to remember.
The people get to be seen. You get to be seen in the room, and they're like, oh, And I think whenever you do that with as a comedian too, you're like almost ingratiate them to come hang out and be in this, even though look at this crazy shit, like that kind of attitude. So.
I think that's what's important about comedy and most art, but specifically comedy because it's so directly. I mean, it's so. You're just talking. That's what it is. You're just using words to describe things and explain things or try to or explain your perspective on things. So it's so powerful in that way. Whereas like most other art, I mean, music, there's a lot of statements you can make in music about the world for sure with lyrics and things like that. But that was powerful last night too with Chris Allen Cox. Like a lot of his songs are very politically motivated or about his experience and they really hit like on another level because of what he was there for, it's like, and like, cause and that kind of hit me pretty deeply more so than they normally do. Cause I think that a lot of his songs are really, powerful in that way. But last night they really hit home with just, because he's just got songs about, I can't remember the name of one of them, but one of my favorite ones is like about trying to go to sleep every night living in America and how fucked up it is. It's like, how do we sleep at night? And that's like kind of the chorus is like about that, like sleeping or having trouble sleeping at night in America or something like that. But it was just like, wow, this is like, especially with thinking about the war and people suffering, all over the world, and then we're sitting here and I'm fucking telling jokes and bullshitting and over here and just making fun of the president and stuff like that. And it's just like, man, there are people dying, like and struggling to eat, and it just helps you put things in perspective with some music.
Well, that's art,
lyrics,
holding up a mirror, and I think it's what is doing its job.
Yeah,
I love that. I didn't even realize who is that. Chris Allen Cox.
Yeah, he's incredible. Like
what's the genre?
He's punk. I mean, but he's a solo. I mean, he's got a punk band called No Gentlemen, and they play. But the band is based out of Seattle, Washington. So they play 2 shows a year when he's home, And like I've been meaning to talk to him about this, Chris. If you're watching, I wanted to talk to you about it. But like, well, I want to go with him next time he goes, or
nice.
one time when he goes up there. 'Cause I've never been to Washington. I'd love to visit that, Seattle, and check out that part of the country. But like, I want to go and just. I think that if we can, I would love for this to happen. Like me and you go with them and do a whole documentary kind of thing. And like you could book some shows up there too.
I love that idea.
Like, like do a whole week or, half a week trip or something and like go. And cause I think that's such a cool story kind of thing that they do. It's like they go all the time. I mean, he goes up there, plays a show, like they do one rehearsal, play the show, and then that's it. And then and it's like, that would be really cool to see, and obviously just do a little rhythm and wit documentary type thing. We could do some interviews with some of the group. I think that'd be awesome.
And it's got to be the same people that come see him every year too.
There
has to be some overlap there.
Yeah.
So we can talk to them.
Yeah.
How many do they look forward to it every year?
So anyways, like, but I've been thinking about that for a long time. I always mean to bring it up, and I forgot last night. But yeah, so I think that he's really talented and very, like I said, just he clearly cares so much more about a lot of stuff than you would think, just from just anyone, right? Like a punk artist or whatever, musician. But he's an interesting person and very cool. And like he's been to a couple of the house shows. Like he's always out here supporting us too. So
nice. Maybe we could throw him on the pod.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what do you think, man?
We've been going way too long.
We going
I mean, it's good.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Well, you want to talk about the upcoming events?
Yeah, we do have some really great upcoming events. We got some stuff going on here. Let me see. We have this Friday, October 11th, we have Put a Cork in It Comedy Showcase at 6:30 p.m., $10 online, $15 at the door. We have my good buddy and writing partner, Leo Mendes, headlining the show.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be super fun. I gave Leo the ability to pick whoever he wanted to put on the show, too.
Nice.
And so he picked Dace Carlson, Ben Griffith, and Stephanie Stevens, all super funny comedians out of OKC, regular open micers at Bricktown Comedy Club. So that's going to be good. Stephanie Stevens, super funny mom / art teacher. But they're all there to support Leo Mendes' first headlining show at Put a Cork in It.
So it'd be like a 40-minute.
Yeah, 35, somewhere
minutes.
around there. Depends. He's got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He's been writing. He's been at it for 3 years, and he writes constantly.
And he's probably never really done this much time before, has he?
I don't think.
I wonder.
I don't think so. I think this is his actual first headlining set. And so if you guys want to come, be sure to help support Leo. He's he does a lot in the community that really does a lot for us, and he's been running JJ's Alley open mic on Thursdays starting at 7 now. It's 2 hours long because there's so many comedians there now, and it's still going into it like people that can't get on.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. He's turned that mic into something that's like it's the place to go.
It's one of the biggest, most popular mics, I imagine, besides like Bricktown.
So be sure to come out, help out our buddy Leo Mendes, and let's get some people out to his headlining show.
Yeah, if you want to hear some more from Leo, we've got. I mean, he was on one of our Put a Cork in It, our Comedy on the Spot videos on Rhythm and Wit YouTube, and we did a podcast with him from the Blue Whale Fest.
Yes, we did.
So you can go watch. And one thing I've been meaning to bring up too, because I just recently updated the podcast, the audio version of our show, and actually put up all the interviews and things. Obviously, not everything is on the audio versions because a lot of it's just kind of video only, or it wouldn't work as audio. But I know I put his interview on the podcast, so you can listen to it now on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Podcasts, or whatever they're called. No, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I want to start getting back. So obviously each week these will go back up there like they used to. But there's a whole backlog of stuff. If you're an audio listener, you can go back and listen to the past few months of stuff that we hadn't been updating on there.
Yeah.
but that's one of them. And let's see. So that's gonna be really fun. We also did you have another one? I wanted to talk about one thing that's going on. It's gonna be Saturday, October 12th, and Sunday, October 13th. There is the second annual Oklahoma Mushroom Festival
Oh, nice.
going on. They have some tickets available for that. It looks like the second annual Oklahoma Mushroom Festival will be on Saturday, October 12th, and Sunday, October 13th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the OK State Fairgrounds in Oklahoma City. That's where it is. So that's a 17,000 square foot space that has 100 plus mushroom vendors, 2 education stages, 1 workshop room, and immersive experience room, and a kids station.
Whoa.
And that's something that's very important to me because our good friends at Mycelium Gallery have been contracted this year to do the immersive art for the Mushroom Festival itself.
Whoa.
And they've been building lots of cool things. I've been kind of keeping up with some of their stuff on their. They have a private Facebook group that I was invited to join, even though I haven't never built anything with them. But I get to see all their posts. They've been working like almost every weekend for sure, like late nights there building stuff, and have these really cool kind of big mushrooms, all in different shapes and sizes, and just cool kind of like I always think of what they do as kind of like this cool like set dressing type stuff. I mean, if you think about like a movie or something, it's just these background props and things like that. But
Cool.
I mean, obviously what they have in their gallery, but this is a really big deal for them. So I can't wait to go and check it all out and see what they built. So come check that out this weekend.
12th and the 13th.
Yeah, it's gonna be Saturday and Sunday.
Do you
so
think they'll
have 2
actually have
chances.
mushrooms?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's lots of people there. I don't know exactly what all the different types of vendors they have, but it's like a lot of about growing them and how to do different things like that and kind of learning. I think they do have a lot of like classes about how to be safe with that stuff, like microdosing and things like that, and kind of what is it called, like safety, safety with it, like there's a term, I can't think of it. Like kind of I don't know. Yeah. Anyways,
being safe with that.
Yeah, using.
Well, I mean, it's a really great way to kind of. I mean, it's helped people with PTSD, and I think it's a great tool.
Tons of benefits. I think that once it becomes more legal to actually prescribe and like similar with medical marijuana, it's like that has good uses of helping people with anxiety and different things like insomnia and all kinds of things that it has very good benefits for. And same thing with mushrooms. So it's like as long as it starts to become more, decriminalized, more regulated within like even the scientific community, where it's like a lot of even scientists and stuff won't touch the stuff because they're afraid of losing their licenses and things like that. They don't want to study it even because it's too risky for that. So once those kind of regulations come down, they can start figuring out better applications and maybe putting it in capsule form, controlling dosages and seeing what can help people, especially with people with trauma of all kinds. Yeah,
or depression. It really helps depression, like a hard reset.
Because it basically, I think what it does, I mean, it basically kind of helps you dissociate from trauma and see it in a different perspective is what you need to overcome trauma. And so hard because once you have that, if you have like PTSD or something of whatever it is, then you get stuck in that, and it's hard to even see it from any other perspective. And it's like every time you think about it, it just brings up these, debilitating emotions. So, but yeah, anyway, there's lots of different ways you could dissociate from that, but mushrooms is one of those things that helps you to see things in a different perspective.
Yeah, and the idea is to bring more awareness to
Yeah,
that. And
yeah, I think so. Overall,
yeah,
that's kind of the goal. But like I said, they're pretty. I'm sure there's. It's not just psychedelic mushrooms.
yeah. There's
I'm
others.
sure
Yeah,
they have. People that just love eating mushrooms,
yeah.
like on their pizza.
Shiitake. Yeah, just. I'm a big mushroom guy.
I hate mushrooms.
Do you
Actually,
really?
it's the texture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
always
know.
like, ooh, mommy.
Yeah, it's like in the flavor. It's weird. I don't know.
Umami. That's it.
Yeah,
That's like my favorite part.
but
I just think that in my head when I'm eating a mushroom every time. I'm like, mommy.
So, anyways, yeah, we got
That's
that.
not,
What else?
you can
is
cut that
there?
out if you want to.
Anything else?
Yeah. So we've got Liz
Oh, yeah.
Campbell with
Is that-
Thinkable in Life. My beautiful wife has the spooky soiree October 12th. Starts at 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. There's actually 2 different ticket prices. That's going to be 40 or 85, depending on if you want to do half the day or the whole day. But it's a whole day full of, or it's from 12 to 6, full of. You get to paint a doormat. You get to make polymer clay. And you get to, there's a spooky sip and paint, which is just the $40. It comes with meals, and it comes with drinks, and it comes with a good time. She's been working really hard on this, getting this together. Like I said, you get the first part of the day is 1 drink ticket, a catered taco bar lunch, and then you're going to make a doormat 18 by 13 with 2 designs to choose from and to paint. Then you got the marbled clay, which is going to be with it. That one's a little easier when you're drunk. And then you got the spooky paint and sip, which is super fun, taught by Marina Del Sol. So she's got somebody that's
Oh,
helping.
nice.
And then you get a small snack that they provide. There's food there at Rough Tail Brewing Co.
That's right. It's at Rough Tail. I was kept thinking Stone Cloud, but it's Rough Tail.
Yeah, it's Rough Tail. I must not have said that,
I
but
don't
yeah,
know.
it's at Rough Tail.
That's just what popped in my head because she
Yeah.
does there at Stone Cloud
Yeah.
occasionally. But
She does a bi-weekly art. She basically brings art.
no, Rough Tail, where they have the Rough and Ready comedy show.
Yeah.
But that I've always wanted to go there because I've been there obviously, but I never eat there. Like I always know they have a big full menu.
Yeah.
And so yeah, maybe
It's
I'll
good.
get to come out Saturday and get something to eat. That'd be fun.
Yeah. They have this drink, and it's basically diabetes.
In a cup.
But it's this cool cup. It's like a tiki cup.
Oh yeah.
And then it's alcoholic beverage, but I think they also have non-alcoholic.
Oh, I remember we had that. It's the blue one.
The blue one, and they put a bomb pop in it.
Oh, that's what it was.
And it was, dude, it was so
It's
good.
a sugar rush.
It was hard to do comedy with a blue mouth, but but it was super fun. Yeah. No, that's
Oh,
my new
yeah.
favorite drink there, though,
Nice.
for sure. Do we want to do put a cork in it for the
What?
25th, or we're gonna be back before then to do another set?
Oh, you can go ahead and do it.
Yeah, go ahead and do it. All right. So this one, super fun. All right. So we've got put a cork in it, comedy on the spot. All right. This is one of my favorite things to do. Comedy on the spot really makes us good as comedians at bringing up stuff on the top of our head, and it really makes the audience good at at bringing up topics that are funny.
Yeah.
So it's a really interactive play kind of thing, and so we show up. The audience picks the topics. We make the comedy right then. It's going to be October 25th at 6:30 p.m. That's $10 online, $15 at the door, and it's going to be a super good time. So you guys show up, bring some good ideas with you, and we're going to make some fun out of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna bring that back. Are you doing that kind of again once a month?
Yeah,
Kind of monthly.
I did last week. Last month
Yeah.
we did
Mhm.
the Lords of Lawton, which ended up going. It was super good and fun, and they're so good. Israel Goldman knocked it out,
Mhm.
but I love doing these so much,
Mm.
you know, that I'm just gonna bring it. I'm just gonna keep doing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you should. I think that's kind of a nice thing to have like reoccurring. I mean, where especially if you did it, if it was every month, it's like the last, second to last Friday of the month or whatever. And it's like, and everyone knows like that's the comedy on the spot every month.
Yeah, and luckily it's been
Yeah.
the second and fourth Friday,
Right.
and
Mhm.
and like I said, it's really great location downtown on the canal. It's around all kinds of food, and people are always walking by, and so it's really cool to like pull people off the street and like, hey, we got a show, and then they get to enjoy it and see what it's like.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun time. So I guess that's it for
That's
the
it.
show this week, y'all. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow us on social media at Rhythm and Wit. Just on Instagram, because I don't know, Facebook pages. We don't need that.
Yeah.
I
We got
mean, yeah.
YouTube. We
No,
got YouTube.
but yeah, subscribe on YouTube because we're over 100 subscribers. We're like 102 subscribers now, but
Yeah.
that number is definitely keeps going up. So we wanted to be sure to ring the bell and do all that. Get notifications for new episodes, which we always drop Fridays. So, but hopefully we'll start doing some more. Because occasionally I'll do a Wednesday drop,
Yeah.
or Monday even. So you'll get notified when those drop. And we definitely like to see that numbers grow. It's going to help us grow the podcast overall because that just looks really good for whenever we try to go out and get sponsors eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
Then, people are definitely checking it out. So thank you all for coming back each week and watching and supporting us. And, yeah, follow us there. But like I said earlier, too, go look us up on Spotify. If you have Spotify, you can give us a 5-star review there. You do have to, if you're a YouTube watcher and you just want to go there to give us a 5-star review, you have to at least listen to a minute of an episode before it lets you give a rating, which is good because that means that people that rate us are actually watching and stuff. But yeah. So do that because, even if you just want to support us and you say you've already subscribed and you've done, on YouTube and stuff, it's you can still go on to those other channels on Apple, just even if you don't use those regularly, to give us that 5-star review to help boost that.
And it helps. It really does.
Yeah, because that just helps the algorithms know that, we're something that matters, hopefully. So, and other people can check it out because that's something that we're definitely trying to just keep growing and we have been, so we definitely appreciate everyone. And also, last thing is to be sure to remember we have an email address at rhythmandwit@gmail.com that is available for you if you want us to shout out a show recommendation. We always like to see that. If you got a press release, we always take those, of course. We always love shouting out upcoming events and
so throw some our way.
and let us know what you're doing and up to, and so I think that's it, and we can close it out.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.